What's going on, guys? Welcome to a new series of episode reviews. This is for Vinland Saga Season 2. I know we didn't do Season 1, but we decided to do Season 2 because it was a highly anticipated series, and it's something I've read the manga for, so I know quite a bit about it. But with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I literally had to binge watch the entire first season just before this season aired. But what I didn't know after watching this episode is that most of this stuff with it about this new character named Einar was anime original.
Yeah, so Einar gets this season is going to be covering the farm arc for most of it from the manga. Einar is a major character from the manga, and he I was kind of surprised because I had a lot of the stuff with his backstory in this episode was anime original. I think he does mention his backstory at certain points in the manga, but I don't know if we actually get to see it the way we do in this episode. We don't really get it doesn't really show everything that we see in this episode. We kind of he kind of talks about what happened to him in the manga, but we don't get all this. So I thought it was a really interesting addition, that most of the episode was kind of going through his backstory.
Yeah, so this episode initially shows him off as this farmer taking care of both his sister and their mother in a village in England. And of course, so they mentioned that the father passed away some time ago. I think it was mainly because there was an initial Viking attack in their village or farm several years prior. So Einar is is, I guess you could say, he's trying to train to fight off against the Vikings if they ever end up coming back. So we get this this nice scene with Einar and the rest of his family just having lunch lunch outside, and then eventually it's transitions to later, and when the Vikings start attacking their village again and they have to run away from them. Unfortunately, the mother gets shot with an arrow to the back, and then of course the daughter ends up getting killed while trying to defend herself against one of the Vikings trying to abduct her.
Yeah. And they pretty much end up they don't kill Einar. They end up selling him off to basically become a slave. So a lot of this episode is just Einar just kind of him kind of just sort of showing his life as being a slave.
Yeah.
And some of the other slaves he interacts with, he gets put on a boat, and they show some of the other slaves coming to sickness and being tossed overboard, just kind of showing how kind of callously they were treated. They were basically treated as pretty much just subhuman.
Yeah, just treating them as products in a way. And there are at least several occasions where Einar was being sold off, but of course no one would accept him at that time. So he tries to make a run for it and tries to steal food from a nearby homestead. But eventually, the slave traders come back to apprehend him and then just brutally beat the crap out of him later.
Yeah, they just kind of they beat him up, and then they also whip him.
Yeah, and then of course soon afterwards, into the next village, Einar meets this old man who's apparently looking for Thorfinn. But of course,
Leif Erikson.
Yeah, and of course he mentions that, I guess in a way, Einar reminds him of Thorfinn, but of course he decides not to purchase him because he thought initially that Thorfinn was being sold off as a slave somewhere. So, but unfortunately, he ends up moving on without having to purchase Einar. However, another man passes by and decides and offers Einar to work at his farm. So he eventually ends up purchasing Einar and then takes him over to his village or his farm, or whatever farming fields that he owns. And eventually
I think what really why he decided to purchase him too is because Einar had mentioned he was a farmer For he was a farmer from England. So I guess he figured he had like some relevant experience.
Yeah, and eventually, like, of course, when Einar sees the farm, it pretty much, he pretty much flashes back to all all the times that he was working in his original farm with his sister and mother, and then
Mm.
eventually, like, the man who purchased him introduces him to Thorfinn, which is the first time we see him, since the end of the first season, which is he's just basically just like he appears to be just like a broken shell of a man at this point, considering
Yeah,
like
that's pretty much what he is. Yeah, pretty much after he's gotten his chance at revenge at Askeladd stolen from him, he's pretty much just that at this point he's just an empty shell of a person. He has no purpose in life, and so he's just working as a slave, and that's pretty much all he's doing at this point. So it's like a lot of this arc is going to be kind of developing Thorfinn as a character, and just kind of him sort of finding a new purpose in life, and sort of reflecting on all of what he's done in the past and trying to become a different person, sort of essentially.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like Thorfinn has like really been through a lot after, after that last season. Like
Yeah.
the number of atrocities that he's committed, and the people he's killed
Yeah,
in
and
order
I
to
will
go
say
after
too, without
Askeladd.
spoiling anything, some of those things he's done in the past or later in the story are going to come back to haunt him in different ways. Um, but yeah, and that's also what this arc deals with too. Um, but yeah, I thought this was a really good first episode. Like, I really liked it. A lot of it was actually anime original because a lot of the additions were actually really good ones. I would say, just kind of going over Einar's backstory in more detail. I can't say I expected it, but I really liked that they went that direction. Um,
Yeah.
I also
Uh,
like the new opening is pretty good too. It's definitely different from the original. It kind of gives a different vibe since this is sort of this isn't really going to be as action heavy of an arc. So it's kind of a little bit different. But I like the visuals, and I really like the song too.
mhm.
Same thing with the ending. The ending is also pretty similar to the ending from the season one, in a lot of ways. But I like that too. It's a pretty good song, and the visuals are really nice for that. We should also mention that technically, like, this is Studio Mappa behind this, but it's the same people that worked on season one, so it's pretty much it's almost like it's people might be confused by that. It pretty much looks the same. I would say a little bit better than season one, but really it does look really similar. I mean, which is because, like I mentioned, it's the same people working on it. It's just they transitioned. I guess they transitioned over to Mappa. But yeah, still looks great. Still great visually and all that. So
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm still curious about like how this new season is gonna play out. I mean, I did hear, like you mentioned before, that this particular arc is gonna be going a lot slower compared to the first season,
yeah.
which was more action heavy. Well, this one, like you mentioned, the farm arc is gonna be more more of a character driven story arc compared to
It's
the
more
first.
introspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Also, we're gonna find out what some of the other characters have been up to, like Canute. We kind of got a tease of that in the opening, uh, but and some of the other characters that got introduced in season one.
Yeah, and of course, like Askeladd is also in the opening, so I'm curious if like we're gonna get any flashbacks of the character
That,
later
and
in
he
the
could
season.
come back as just hallucinations or just something like that,
Hmm.
or in some nightmare sequences.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I thought this was like I said, I thought it was a great first episode. I don't really have too much else to say about it. I don't know if you have anything else to
yeah.
say about.
I mean, this I think they said they confirmed this is gonna be 24 episodes. Um,
Yeah, they also mentioned before that they are planning on basically adapting the entirety of the manga. I remember they said that
huh.
too. So, um, I guess, like, I'm not sure if we can expect the same staff to stay on for that or not. I kind of hope so, but I guess we'll see how that plays out. I would definitely like for them to try to do the do the manga up to. I mean, it's still going, but I definitely think it's a really good series, and I feel like it does deserve to eventually have like a complete adaptation, essentially.
Totally.
So, but yeah, like again, really good first episode. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in the second
Yeah.
season so far. And I'm curious to, like, how Thorfinn's gonna move on after after all that crap that he's had to deal with in the first season.
Yeah, that's really the main. I would say the main appeal of that arc is just seeing how how Thorfinn does move on, if he ever can actually move on from what happened in his past. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see. But yeah, that all being said, guys, until next time, we will see you all later.